And we are live. Welcome everyone. This is your host Abraham El Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Magi-Knights Awakening. This is a Super Sentai and Magical Girl inspired tabletop RPG where you get to confront mythos like horrors. You will find it in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by Dames of Asstoria, specifically the Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria. The feature of this video, a tabletop role-playing game where you play as monster girls, experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released Daughters of Lamb. This is a pay-what-you-want tabletop RPG where you get to play as cybernetic nuns with guns, looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. You will find it in their website. The links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. They have recently released Savage Swords. This is a Conan-inspired tabletop RPG where you get to explore ancient civilizations and confront forgotten nightmares. You will find it in their website. The link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, a moment, please, while I maximize. Maximize. All right. So, yes, today I am giving you some further thoughts on Dames of Astoria. Amazing Monster Girl tabletop RPG. If you want more specifics, take a look at the playlist in the description of this video because I did a complete review series exploring every single aspect of this tabletop RPG. So, I want to give you some overall further thoughts. First, it's worth getting as a physical book. Oh, by the way, let me check the sound real quick, make sure everything is sounding good. The sound is good. Yes. So, like I said, very sturdy book. Although I would recommend not opening it completely because let me see if I can get that into focus. This seam right here, the union between the page and the hardcover, will rip apart if you open it completely. If you're like opening the entire book, I wouldn't recommend it. Just have it open like this, like not too much. Not even though it's sturdy, do not. It's not an excuse to handle it with lack of proper care, right? The quality of the paper really good. It's not semi glossy paper. It's typical like let me see if I can. Okay, typical glossy paper. Typical glossy. Typical normal paper, not glossy. The artwork is beautiful. I will show you some images as we continue. Mm, Everything is well organized, written and explained, of course. So it is worth getting the physical book. Very thick volume, thick tome. You will find the link where you can get it in the description of this video. Certainly, I think it is still available. Mm, The artwork on both the back and the front cover really good. And of course, we're going to be covering some of the memes, right? Because you can't have monster girls without some proper memes. The premise is quite simple. You have a fantasy world with its proper mythology. Although the mythology, it kind of like mixes memes. Like there's basically a creator god that was getting it on, getting intimate with all sorts of creatures. Many creatures. And out of those, that union those different unions or adventures, let's call them like that, the monster girls appeared and many other things. But the monster girls became too powerful, too arrogant in the eyes of some. If you want to know more about the various wars that occurred in the setting, definitely check out the playlist. But long story short, they ended up cursed. The monster girls ended up cursed. And now these monster girls cannot reproduce with one another because the males, they were monster men as well. Well, the monster boys, they all died out. And because of the curse, they are no longer being born. What a calamity. So the only way that this, let me show you an image. Mm-mm. Here it is. Let me get that into focus. No, 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 no. Okay, okay. The only way these beautiful monster girls are going to be able to reproduce are with humans. So that's a curse and a blessing. And now let's get that out of the way. There are some weird things about that, right? No matter the anime, the manga, the tabletop RPG, whatever. No matter the story, no matter the form of media, reproducing with monster words, with monster girls, I find it very weird. Because, for example, take the centaurs, right? Monster girl centaurs. The centaurs, the lower half is the half of a horse. So if as a guy, you're reproducing with a centaur, in order to give birth to healthy babies, well, you're going to need to uh, interact with that lower part, right? If you know what I am saying. So that's very weird. And that's without taking into account spider girls, like Driders from Dungeons and Dragons, from Forgotten Realms and whatnot. In order for you to get it on with a spider girl, welcome, Vic, welcome, hail. It's very weird. So let's say that for whatever reason somebody finds this thing attractive. Like I said, the human part is up here, but the lower part of the monster girl, it's pure spider. In the case of a spider girl, it is pure spider. So you're going to be getting your little soldier down there, right? You're basically getting intimate with a giant spider. So there are those weird things to consider. The reproduction cycle of the monster girls is quite terrifying in my opinion. And even if you have like, for example, let's see if I can find her. Like this, like cheetah, like let me uh okay. You have this cheetah type of girl, right? Mm, well, she's a bit hairy because you expect her to be like covered in a bit of like hair or fur rather fur. Okay, no, okay. Let's say that somebody likes them hairy for whatever reason. There are some weird things about cat girls and fox girls and all of that. For starters, some of them they basically have let me see, they have four ears. They have the ears at the top of the head, and they have the ears at the side of the head. Perhaps some of them only have like ears on the top of the hair, but of the head. But they have like four holes, right? Like one, two, three, and four. And since they are exactly big, exactly that's what I'm talking about. And because they are half cat, half fox, or half whatever, wouldn't it mean that their saliva is kind of like the saliva of a cat or a fox? So imagine you okay, you like them, you love them, you are making out with them, and now you are thinking as you're kissing them, you think. They perhaps they have like the saliva of a cat or a fox or whatever, and you're looking. Not to mention, if they are half animals, half monsters, there are weirder things. There are like slime girls and dragon girls, and wouldn't it mean that perhaps they get their tongue in some questionable places, or they eat raw things, or who knows, right? So those are the things that the average otaku or nerdy guy never questions about such unions. And I always think about those things. I don't think it will work out. So anyway, moving on. The history for the world in this tabletop RPG is quite robust. They detail the entire timeline, the conflicts, the cataclysms, the various species of monster girls. Here they are called demifauna. You have the arachne, like the spider girls. You have the centaurs, the harpies, the lamias. Like, wow, how do you even reproduce with this? I mean, for the monster girl species to thrive and to continue, like I said, they can only reproduce with humans. There are no monster males, monster boys, monster men. But I haven't seen snakes reproducing, right? But I have to wonder, like, I have questions. I have several questions. When it comes to creating a character, you can create a human if you wish, but humans are considerably weaker when compared to monster girls. Monster girls are like powerful mutants. You can create any monster girl that you want. You want a moth monster girl, a grasshopper monster girl, like I said, slime monster girl, eagle monster girl, whatever. Anything you can imagine, dragon monster girl, anything. You can create it with this system for such a meme theme, such a potentially comedic theme. The book, the game system, the character creation process, and the system itself is actually very robust, very crunchy. No nonsense approach of building the girl of the different parts, the powers, the abilities, the skin. Does she have scales? Does she have claws? Can she spit acid? All of those things. It's a very robust system. Usually you would expect something very rules light. So if you're looking for something that you just sit back and there is little bookkeeping, this is not the game for you. There are other systems out there like Heroines of the First Age, very rules light. But if you're looking for something a bit more tactical and strategic in game terms, the Dames of Astoria is your game. And of course, the stories, the background stories are very different. In the case of Heroines of the First Age, that's more of a lesbian thing. The heroines reproduce with each other not through physical contact, but through some sort of magical act. They kind of like join their minds, and out of the sky falls down a new monster girl. While in Dames of Astoria, you need physical reproduction. In Dames of Astoria, there is also a lot of what they call problematic issues for certain crowds. For the average person, it's going to be normal, but there are issues of discriminating the monster girls and even enslaving the monster girls. So if you find those topics not to your liking, this may not be the game for you. But like I said, for the normal, well-adjusted individual, you're going to be able to take on those issues with the needed maturity. Mm, or immaturity if it's a comedy game, of course. The monster girls have it rough. They are very powerful, but at the same time, Everybody distrusts them because of their great powers and their what they perceive to be arrogance. In the past, they thought that the monster girls were very arrogant, so a lot of people are not comfortable with such. Are they are pretty much mutants wielding incredible powers. So it's a bit like an X-Men situation. If you like the X-Men comic books, the cartoons, you're probably going to enjoy Dames of Astoria in that regard of the pariahs, the outcasts of society. The game covers pretty much every aspect that could arise in combat situations, in social encounters, in explorations, expedition. Everything is covered here. And once again, if you want further details, take a look at the playlist in the description of this video. I cover every single thing in various videos. Mm. Something that is quite curious about the Monster Girls is that despite their powers, they are also very fragile. Sure, if you have traits like a turtle shell that protects you, or the skin of a crab, or who knows what, you're going to be very sturdy. But regardless of that, if you get attacked, you may end up dying faster than you would expect. You may end up mutilated, suffering serious wounds. So this is not a game that holds back from eliminating your character or even maiming that character in the brutality of combat. There are also a lot of modifiers, some few exceptions, but very well explained. This is not an ambiguous game. They cover pretty much everything. It is based on action points. It's an action point system. Depending on the actions that you take, it's going to have an AP cost. Mm, the typical roll for initiative with a structure to each combat round, taking into consideration that each action costs a number of AP points. You also have details on environmental hazards, necrotic damage, elemental damage, falling damage, suffocation, poison, everything, weather, exhaustion, the magical system. It is great and very involved. This is not a well, just think of some crazy magical effect and you roll for it and we'll see what happens. You have a system of spells with various disciplines. You can be necromancers, you can be healers, you can be elemental casters, summoners. It's all here. Let me find. This is a cool artwork. It looks very somewhat cozy, like this healer or divine caster sort of character doing some sort of spell with an orb effect around her in the rain. The art is pretty good. I would have preferred a lot more in terms of art, but this okay, this is a passion project. Um, it's obvious that a lot of effort and resources were spent in coming up with this game. So I think that adding a lot more art could have made the game a bit more expensive. The book. Mm. Oh, this image looks very beautiful, but again, um, they have the. Let me get that into. Uh, a beautiful looking mermaid character, but as usual, even in those legends of the sailors having um, intimate contact with the mermaids, the lower half, they are basically a fish. I don't know how I would feel getting the little soldier through these scaled gates, right? Through the fish scale gates. You can't even imagine. You have, of course, boons for your character. It's a realistic character. with flaws and talents, mm, with perks and traits, disciplines, martial disciplines, finesse based disciplines. You want to be like a special ops monster girl, maybe a spider monster girl that climbs and gets into the various fortresses through the windows and whatnot. You also have a very robust and structured crafting system. If there is something about this game is that everything is well structured and robust. That is a constant. You can create all sorts of potions, weapons, armor. You can modify existing objects, and you have a complete bestiary with very very weird creatures. They are kind of like mutants or chimera as well. For example, you have this thing. Very weird, right? Very very weird. That's supposed to be a Cossetrix. Cossetrix. A small vicious creature known to turn its prey to stone. Mm. Here you don't have orcs, you have horks. Let me. The hark. So don't expect your classical fantasy paraphernalia of creatures. They are extremely weird. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Let's read a bit of the. It's called the Franklin flower. Residing in the deep forests of Astoria, the Franklin flower primarily feeds on small woodland creatures which wander too close. Keep your pets away from those things. Oh, what is this? No, no. I saw a cooler monster. Well, this is not cool. This is like very weird. The water slide. The water slide. In fact, there was this slime mimic war in the past. The monster girls had to fight against these slime enemies, and it was one of the most important conflicts in the history of Astoria. And Moth Girl, look. Uh, Let me focus it a bit more. There we go. There we go. But definitely to sum things up, Dames of Astoria. If you're looking for a robust tactical system, well structured, covering every single situation, with all sorts of the lighting is acting weird. It's because of the focus. There we go. There we go. It's stabilized. If you're looking for a tabletop RPG focused on monster girls with great structure, organization, covering every single situation, using action points, and with characters that are not like invincible, that are actually vulnerable, fragile to attacks and whatnot, the Dames of Astoria is an absolute success. It is, and in the case of the gameplay, you even have an optional system. Normally, you roll your polyhedral, your d10s, but the you can also handle it as a d6 system with six-sided dice. But the d10s, this is a d10 based system. It works great. So you have options. If you don't like d10s, 10-sided dice, no problems, and change them with the optional system to roll those d6s. Again, if you want more details on the mechanics, definitely check out the playlist in the description. I cover every single thing, everything. So my highest recommendation for Dames of Astoria. Definitely a bit for the niche crowd, but it is above many other tabletop RPG um, experiences focusing on monster girls when it comes to the tactics, the strategies, the crunchiness. If you are someone that requires numerical expressions and justification for the various roles or things that happen during the game, definitely get Dames of Astoria. Beautiful, beautiful game. And get it as a physical book if possible. It is worth it. It is super sturdy. So thank you for watching this live stream. Thank you, Big, for being here. If you have questions or comments about Dames of Astoria or other tabletop RPGs focused on monster girls or whatever, please let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the Super Thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description, the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, in tabletop RPGs, it's not about what you want your characters to do. It's about what your characters are doing. Once again, thank you and see you later.